We are just getting started in this crypto bull market, and what happens next for the altcoins is going to absolutely blow your mind. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what I'm seeing on the charts, as well as what I'm seeing in the news and the overall psychology of the market to identify where we are and what is going to happen next. Hit the like button. Let's get into it. Now guys, in the last few days, we've seen a Bitcoin surging towards the upside, and there's been a number of different catalysts behind this massive move, but what we haven't really seen much of yet is the move in the altcoin market. Now, for the last few months, I've been referring you to understand where we are in the market, and it has played out absolutely perfectly. We got Crypto El Prof or El Crypto Prof to thank for this, and you can see COVID crash, and then bounce, retested that structure, and then bounce again, FTX crash, bounce, retest of structure, and then bounce again. And look at what happens in this particular chart after this part of time here. Now, many of you will be talking about the catalyst behind what is driving the market, but simply we can identify what was likely to happen from looking at the chart information and assessing the overall mentality and sentiment of the market. And this here is the Wall Street cheat sheet. If you subscribe to this channel, you would have heard me talking about this before. And throughout the summer, most of YouTube, most of people on Twitter and everything like that are telling me that, you know, we're waiting for the dip. We're going to get lower. We're waiting to buy Bitcoin at under 15K. Maybe even 8K will come round. And many people were in a phase that was beyond sort of depression and basically into this sort of disbelief phase, which in my mind told me that we were way further along in the cycle than many people were anticipating. And the problem is this narrative of the halving. Now, in every other bull market so far, we've had a halving event and then suddenly an explosion in the Bitcoin price. But leading up until that halving event, we've also been climbing as well, and people have failed to anticipate that. So what everyone has been waiting for is pretty much a black swan event, which I told you multiple times was very unlikely to be happening. And in this video the other day, I identified what was the most likely move to come. But if you look at this chart for Bitcoin, every time we've seen these rallies, we've seen a very big push in the altcoin market. And the altcoin market itself absolutely explodes every time. Therefore, you have to anticipate that if the next move in Bitcoin happens and we see a push like this, and you can see looking back to this chart that it played out exactly like this. Now, I'm not showing you this to try and tell you what a legend I am at trading and that I picked the right horse this time, because obviously I could have been wrong. But I'm showing you this because we need to understand a little bit more about what drives the markets and the different focus I have from probably what other people do. And a lot of other people are focusing on the news events that are behind driving the market. I want you to understand that the news is creating this kind of smokescreen across the top of what the fundamental happenings in the market are. And while this stuff in the news might be true right now, most of the time it's not. And when you get everyone telling you that it's going to be heading towards the other side, then you've got to be very cautious. And right now, I am a little cautious about what is happening in the markets. But the main narrative we've been hearing this year is that the market is not ready to support crypto and boost crypto towards the upside as a risk asset. But I want to tell you something. Crypto, in terms of market cap size, is actually absolutely tiny. When you compare it to the amount of money that exists in traditional finance and traditional stock markets, you'll understand that there's really not that much money required to drive moves like this. And what I mean by that is this is not really trillions of dollars worth of movement. This is a few $100 billion, and yet $100 billion is a lot of money. But when you're talking about BlackRock, you've got like $10 trillion under management. And when you're talking about all the others who amongst them all basically have sort of $20 to $30 trillion, then you can see that it doesn't really take much to move Bitcoin about this much. So what are we going to anticipate next? Well, a lot of people in my free Telegram, which is linked down below, are asking me questions like, should I be selling XLM to buy Solana? Should I be selling my Ethereum to buy Solana? Now, it's interesting. Obviously, everyone is now asking about whether they should be buying Solana, because all year, well, I've been telling you that Solana was a great bet when it was priced down here in the markets, because all year when Solana's been based down here, no one's been paying attention. They've all been telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about, which is fair enough. And then suddenly it rallies towards the upside, and then suddenly everyone's like, should I be buying Solana? Well, you need to go back. If you have been involved in crypto throughout the year leading up until this point, and you've been buying lots of cryptocurrency based on your decisions that you've been making from the research you've done, then why would you suddenly flip into a coin just because it's having a good period of time? If you didn't anticipate that this coin was going to have a very strong move towards the upside in the first place, because you were thinking that maybe it was a better option to buy something else, why would you be jumping ship? Don't just jump ship on the fact that you see the new shiny object in town because it's having a good pump towards the upside. Now, I do anticipate that Solana is going to have a very, very good bull run, and we're already seeing this materialize right now. But there is one thing that we are waiting for before I think we're going to see a massive surge in the altcoins, and it's this. As we look into the altcoin market right now, and this is the altcoin market excluding Bitcoin, you can see that currently we're in this area here, this yellow bubble moment here, okay? Previously, after this kind of impulse wave up from impulse wave 1, a retrace down here, we broke into impulse wave 2, which was an absolutely enormous bull market. Currently, we're just looking into impulse wave 2. If the impulse wave 2 compared with the wave 1 is similar, then we're expecting something massive. So why right now are we not really seeing that much growth in the altcoins, considering Bitcoin is having a really good run? So if we jump back to that video I was talking about the other day, then you'll see that I talk about the potential for movement happening in altcoins. Going and moving in this pattern as I've literally just posted here. I think we're going to see it in others as well. Ethereum, as you can see, is in a very interesting place in this bullish descending wedge, which you can see has found support at the same area of this ascending triangle. You can see that there's point right here is going to likely break, and we're going to see this. Now, as you can see, Ethereum did exactly what we were talking about happening in that video, and now potentially will come back to have a retrace during this period of time. It's very important to note that today, while Bitcoin is sticking around 34k, that many other cryptos, with the exception of like Chainlink and Solana, are not really doing a huge amount. And whilst I have been giving him a little bit of a hard time on this channel recently, Ben Cowan, who's been really adamant that the Bitcoin dominance was basically going to create another bear market, who suddenly seems to be changing his tune a bit, is still right when it comes to the Bitcoin dominance. The Bitcoin dominance is still surging towards the upside. And the reason it surges towards the upside is because of the path to altcoin season that we talked about before. Right now, because of all this speculation in the market surrounding the iShares stuff with BlackRock, you will get institutions and everyone else who's got a big bit of cash starting to put money into Bitcoin. They're putting money into Bitcoin. They're not really chucking their money into like Veracity and Render Token right now, because they've probably never even heard of these coins. And while you, like me, spend a lot of time reading about crypto, they don't really care, because when you've got large sums of money, you're going to take punts on Bitcoin and other cryptos that could offer you a potential for a 10, maybe a 20% move in a few days and then cash out. So this means that you will see Bitcoin pushing first, and that's what you're seeing right now. This very aggressive surge in the Bitcoin dominance. Now, what Ben Cowan was saying, which I was disagreeing with, was that the Bitcoin dominance was pulling, or Bitcoin, sorry, was pulling money out of the altcoins to support itself. But right now you're seeing Bitcoin surging by itself, which means that we will see a bit of growth in the altcoins around it, but nothing like you're going to see in the Bitcoin growth. Now, at the top, we've got the Bitcoin dominance, and at the bottom, we've got the Bitcoin US dollar price. And I've been looking into this because I'm understanding that if we are potentially going to arrive into like a really surging, very aggressive altcoin market, then something needs to happen here first. Previously, when Bitcoin dominance came into line with this kind of downtrend that we saw starting all the way back in March 2017, came all the way back down, and then eventually came up and put in this high before a sudden reversal like this. And this happened on the 28th of December 2020. And that was after this sort of first phase of a bull market that we saw there. Now, you would look at where we are right now and anticipate that potentially we've just come out of an area of consolidation a bit like this, and that we might be running into this first part of the market. If that's the case, then potentially we could see a more aggressive move in Bitcoin right now before we come into contact with this blue line up here. Now, this could take 1, maybe 2 weeks where Bitcoin is building in strength and the altcoins remain fairly steady in the way that they're growing. You might see the likes of Ethereum up a few percent. You might see Solana's other tokens up sort of 4, 5%. But if you've not seen an altcoin season before, eventually when this area hits and we see a drop in the Bitcoin dominance all of a sudden after a very big surge in Bitcoin, that's when you're going to be seeing Solanas and Renders and HBARs and XLMs doing their 30% moves, 40% moves in a day. Now, that's not financial advice, of course. I'm just saying that things that we saw back in the last bull market, they all of a sudden happen. And those coins that you've been like, should I move my money out of XLM into Solana? Let's look at that and look at the problem with doing such a thing. We're looking here at two randomly selected cryptos. Well, they're not that randomly selected, but at the top you've got Chainlink. And the reason I put Chainlink at the top is because Chainlink in the last kind of week or so has been enjoying a very, very aggressive move. And if you watched my Chainlink video the other day, when we were sat down in this area down here, then hopefully you would have also caught that move. But what we can see on the bottom is XDC, which has been a very popular crypto through the year. And why has it been popular? Well, because at one point in the year, it did this, which got everyone very excited. That was like the ISO 20022 stuff, which got everyone really hyped up. The problem of taking money from a coin like this and putting it into a coin that's already here is that the most likely scenario that happens next for Chainlink is that it does this. Whereas the most likely scenario, I think, for XDC is that it does this. Now, why would you take money out of a coin that's most likely to see a little bit of a retrace and put it into a coin that is yet to pump? It is beyond me, but it's what people do every single time. And we are just seeing earlier moves happening in Chainlink and Solana right now, which is obviously great to see because of more kind of institutional interest in those particular coins. It does show a bullish case for the future for those particular coins. But once Bitcoin arrives at a point at which that dominance kind of starts to run out and Bitcoin starts to stall a bit, you will see people taking profits from Bitcoin and shoving big profits into the smaller altcoins with smaller market caps, which will suddenly see a massive rally in price. And I'll show you what this looks like. At the top, you've got Bitcoin, which suddenly starts to run into that Bitcoin dominance line. This is where the Bitcoin dominance tops out. And then suddenly you start to see Ethereum picking up and growing. And then Bitcoin gets a reasonable pullback here. And then suddenly, in the same time you get that pullback, Ethereum goes up another 160%. Bitcoin rallies into this other kind of first leg of this bull market high here, and it starts to tail off. And this, where it tails off, you can see the money flows. And while Bitcoin kind of runs sideways, you see sort of Ethereum having a bit of a run towards the upside like this. So right now, what I'm saying is be very cautious about taking money from coins that haven't yet pumped, because they will have their time. And if you've done your research and you've selected a broad spectrum of, let's say, 5 to 10 decent altcoins and cryptos, then you have a good chance of seeing some growth. You just need to be patient and not pay too much attention to everything that's pumping around you if you're not holding those bags. Because unfortunately, you might have missed out on those big moves in those coins already, but they might see a good retrace, then you could potentially pay attention to them. However, the coins that you're holding that have yet to see those pumps, well, that's something to get excited about. Now, I've been over on Twitter today to try and understand a little bit more about the sentiment in the market. And my Twitter link down below, guys, would love it if you could give me a follow. Because on a daily basis, I'm giving you my breakdowns of things like Render Token and various other bits and pieces. It's really interesting to notice that people who haven't been talking about crypto, who had quite a big name in crypto before, are now getting into it again. Alex Becker, what gaming coins are upcoming and haven't dropped yet that you're really excited about? And this is another tweet that's been retweeted and worth pointing out. This is BlackRock, and this is something to be very cautious about right now. Now, last week, we saw the market pumping because of that fake news from Cointelegraph, and that suddenly got everyone excited about Bitcoin. You then see BlackRock leak the ticker, which gives everyone the idea that this is going to be launching. Suddenly Bitcoin goes up 4K. Suddenly someone goes and pulls down the ticker price, and then it goes up again today. You can see that there's a lot of manipulation going on in the markets right now, so be very cautious in what you're doing. And if you want support and understand a little bit more about what's going on, if you're new to crypto, then you need to get into the Inner Circle Discord, guys. There's a link down below in the description, just $9.99 per month. And as you can see, we've called exactly Bitcoin and Ethereum last week on the 16th of October. And many other expert traders are also pointing out all of the different trades and things they're taking in the technical analysis section. If you're struggling with whether or not you should buy something because you're not sure whether it's a scam or something like that, then you can chat to people around the world who are experts in the space and can easily guide you to making the right decisions. There's also a pre-ICO zone where you can join our venture capital fund in order to be able to invest pre-ICO into some of the biggest crypto blue chips that are launching this year and into the next year. Typically, whales need a minimum of $100,000 to be able to invest into early stage crypto projects. What we do is we pool everyone's money together in order to be able to do this, which means you can get exposure into some of the biggest crypto launches at a fraction of the price. This allows you to potentially get in for like 1 or 2 cents on a coin that's going to launch at ICO at around 10 or 20 cents. This is how the whales make money, and this is how you can operate like a whale just by joining the Inner Circle Discord. It's $9.99 per month. Link down below in the description. There's also a 5-day free trial if you want to go and have a look at how it all works. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.